Hello, hello, and happy Friday, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Titan Talk. I'm Isiah. Killgoon is with me as usual, and we're chilling on a Friday. Not too much to cover on today's show before we head into the weekend, but as always, we wanted to just hop on stream, hang out with you all, take some questions, and just chill for the next hour or so. How you doing, Killgoon?
I'm doing good, and we also have a very busy week next week.
Next week is going to be really busy
because on Monday we're going to be talking about the healing changes. On Wednesday we're going to be going through Hu Yi and the rest of the patch.
Flash test after the show. Friday is going to be going through all the balance stuff. Then the next Monday we'll go through like the full patch notes. So we aren't going to have probably as much time as usual for Q&A stuff over the next week and a half. Yeah.
So probably good that we just spend a little bit more time just talking to you all this today and having a chill day here before the weekend.
Exactly. Nothing like a chill Friday before you head into the weekend.
Yeah.
For sure.
Although I don't know if it's going to be chill if I keep drinking this. This is a little fiery.
We can get into that once we hit the Alani check a little bit later in the show. A couple of order of operations before we get into Q&A. I did want to call out first, Sun Wukong's Aspect is live now in Smite 2. That turned on around 11 o'clock. So if you're interested in playing around with 72 transformations in a new way, getting some new effects on your abilities, depending on what animal form you lock in, that is live now for you to try in, for you to hop in and try out.
What's your favorite transformation?
Ooh, see, I haven't had a chance to play with the Aspect, but I'm really digging the Ox and having just the extra utility on the 2, bringing the knockup back on it. I know that was a thing that was in Smite 1 way back in the day, so it was super cool to kind of bring that back.
I love being a bird.
Yep.
And it's just like you're trying to do something to me, it's irrelevant. I'm a bird. Yep. I'm just gonna fly away. It's great.
I'll probably spend a game I'm gonna try out that full int / cooldown build with Eagle form. See if I can get just like super long abilities just on super short cooldowns with Sun Wukong. It'll be fun.
Sounds like a fun game for this afternoon.
I know, right? And then we also do have a hotfix that is in flight. It's being built right now to hopefully hit live servers a little bit later on this afternoon. A couple issues in that hotfix. We are addressing the issue with pause and you warping right after the game being unpaused. I know got a lot of feedback and a lot of reports about that over the past week, so that's going to be fixed hopefully when that hotfix goes live this afternoon. There's also an issue with Scylla that's being fixed where the slow field from her crush ability was invisible, so that should be fixed up as well. And then I think there were a couple things that have also been fixed kind of in flight. We did fix that issue with the Morgan if she transformed into Sun Wukong, and the 1 and the 2 just were dealing no damage. So that's been fixed up. I think there was a small Thor issue that was fixed up as well. So the team is continuing to crank out hotfixes. I'm always amazed at how fast they can get stuff out to the players. But that was everything that I had on my list. Killgoon, I know you kind of covered the plan for next week, but anything you want to talk about before we hop into Q&A for today?
No, not a lot. I think we've had a lot of hot fixes. Seems like things are going pretty well. I'm excited about all the stuff we're going to talk about next week. But
next week is going to be a hell of a week.
This is kind of like a weird transition time for us as a team right now. Because we're kind of like closing out a few of the last remaining issues from this most recent update while we're starting to lock in the things for the next update. So I'm excited. There's a lot of good stuff. I just remembered something that I forgot to write down on a list that's part of the good stuff. I actually have a lot of personal work today. Like a lot of my job is not unfortunately, it's fun, but is figuring out more strategy, talking to people, not individual work. But I have a decent amount of individual work on some things today, so it's a fun day.
Nice, sweet. Well, chat, it is Friday. Let's have a fun show. What do y'all want to talk about today? We're here for the next hour or so, hanging out with you all, answering your questions. I'm gonna call out a question here because I didn't know about this. Maybe you have heard about this. It says, any comment on Achilles? His ult has been broken for several patches now. I have not heard about Achilles' ult being I have
broken.
not heard either.
If you have any details, that would be great. We could take a look into that. Let's talk about Chang'e and why she's not coming with 3. So at one point in time, we had talked about trying to have more thematic patches and waves of gods and, being able to do more marketing around them and more thematic, this is the the Norse winter or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And we'll release a bunch of Norse gods and yada, yada, yada. But we felt like the best thing to do for where we are as a game right now was to prioritize the gods that fit best into our schedule in terms of workload, and also were the most desired by the community. And so we're kind of like looking to optimize that versus lore or thematic marketing beats right now. So because of that, we were like, okay, we're going to do Hu Yi. Hu Yi's probably the most popular hunter that's not in the game right now.
Yep.
There's some arguments for some other ones, but probably the most popular one that's not in the game right now that also has that fits into the schedule in terms of the departments that he would impact, right? And then we have a mage coming next.
Yes.
Yeah. And we already have announced who that mage is going to be, right? It's going to be Giannis. And the community has just been requesting Giannis so heavily that we felt like it was more important to get Giannis in as a unique gameplay type and whatnot than to prioritize Chang'e to get her in closer to Giannis. And Chang'e, I also think they're maybe a little bit more of, please, this is not committing us to this, but I know that there's a lot of conversation on the player side about Chang'e with legs, without legs. If you continue with the dress Chang'e, I think there's some artwork that needs to be done
That we definitely need to. I
the
believe when we had
rig
been on the show one of those times, he talked about Chang'e just being challenging, even though she might seem like she's a challenging character.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that base Chang'e was built in Smite 1, there are definitely some things that we want to revisit for her in Smite 2 for sure.
Yeah. But I think that like this is one of those, it would be really obvious to release Hu Yi and Chang'e at the same time, right? It would be really obvious to release we tried to release King Arthur and Merlin at the same time, and that did not work out. It would be really obvious to release if we were going to do them, Horus and Set at the same time. Yeah. But I think it's more likely than not that we will not try and have those simultaneous or nearby releases just for the sake of the story. As right now, we're just prioritizing what are the most demanded gods and how they fit in the schedule. Yeah. Wukong has a levitating ultimate bug. What's the best way to report this issue? We do read bug reports. If you file a bug report, there should be a QR code you can scan from inside the game. You can click on it now too, I think.
Yeah, you can click on it.
We added that functionality a few batches ago. That's good. There's also in the Discord, there's bug report channels, and our QA folks keep a very close eye on those.
Yeah.
I'm trying to scroll back up to see if the question about does not look like the question about Achilles execute has been revisited.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping my eyes open to see if we get any more details on that. Bug report, Kepri, end of report. Very clever. Thank you.
Let's see here. Are there any removed Smite 1 passives that you'd like to bring back? Stone Cutting Sword or old Rune Forged Hammer where it would do more damage to CC targets?
Those are great ones.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fun ones. I think the ones that I'm the most nostalgic for are the healing focused ones, which is good that we have a pass on.
Yeah, I know, right?
Coming up with a bunch of new items. I think that there are things like, Breastplate of Valor, where when you heal, is it Breastplate of Valor? Talisman of Energy?
Yes.
No, I don't know, something. I can't remember. I haven't played Smite 1 on a character that built this item in a very long time. But, when you heal, you move faster, right? I thought that was a fun item. I thought like Lotus Crown is an interesting item, right? I think there's a lot of Breastplate of Regrowth.
Yes,
Thank you
there
so
you
much.
go.
Appreciate you, a perfect duck. Shield of Regrowth. See, I don't even remember the first word. But I think there's a lot of interesting Vital Lamp, Lotus Crown. Yeah, people are naming a lot of fun healing focused items. And we felt like that's kind of one of those niches that we just aren't addressing at all in Smite 2 right now, which is part of why we're doing a big healing pass, right? That will bring a lot of new items with interesting passives and actives along with it. And another question about a anti-healing item. Why is Contagion not in the anti-heal tag in the shop? It's probably a goof.
Yeah.
We can take a look at that. Oh, this is a a very in-depth question that I could talk about for an entire hour. But I will try and I'll do my best to give the Cliff Notes version of it. What do you think changed in the industry between the time Smite 1 was in beta and Smite 2 was in beta?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. And it is almost impossible to talk how much about everything has changed, right? Like when Smite 1 came out, it was one of the first free-to-play games. Fun fact, Global Agenda was actually the first free-to-play game on Steam. It was before Team Fortress 2 or anything else. It was literally the first free-to-play game on Steam. So we have always kind of been front runners in free-to-play, and Smite was kind of our first big free-to-play project. So the market back then for free-to-play looked very different than the market for free-to-play looks today, right? Back then there were maybe 20 free-to-play games on the market, and much fewer than that were actually any good. So if you were a good free-to-play game, you were going to get a certain amount of attention on the game because there weren't a lot of options for people that were looking for free games. Nowadays, there are hundreds of free-to-play games with new ones coming out every day. People understand the market better, and it's really dominated by AAA free-to-play. You know, these big games that are, you know, Fortnite has a team of over 1,000 people just on Fortnite. You know, a lot of the other big free-to-play games are similarly massive teams. So like just the level of competition in the free-to-play space has changed. The other thing that has changed is the emergence of games as a service means that people don't play new games anymore. I want to say, and I'm going to have the exact number wrong, but I'm in the ballpark on this. Last year, time spent playing games, less than 6% of time spent playing games was on games released last year that weren't like sequels to big franchises. So like excluding like FIFA or EAFC 25 and Madden 25, you know, like most gamer hours are kind of like locked up at this point, and it's hard to get people to play anything new because they're playing older things. It used to be every time there was like a console generation shift, all the old stuff would kind of go away and there would be a chance for new things to emerge. But now that console generations keep the old games around, that doesn't really happen anymore. And that's led to just a lot of difficulty in the industry in general, right? The industry as a whole has had, you know, in the past 2 years, I would say we're up to at least 20,000 layoffs across the industry. And it's probably more than that by now. That's just pull a number out of my butt. And it's hard because you can make a good product, or, you know, in some cases a very good product that would have done okay in the past. You know, maybe you wouldn't have been a Fortnite, right? But you would have been okay. But it's very hard to get any kind of a foothold with even a decent product. It has to be like incredible to have any kind of an impact in 2025. That's most of the things that have changed. Obviously, there's also like huge technical shifts. There's you know, like the world has moved more towards PC and less towards console. You know, like I said, I could talk for an hour
and just
about
like
this,
just the inherent evolution of the internet and how people consume content, for sure.
And like, I mean, for Smite, one of the things we talked about previously is like when Smite came out, the idea of a hero shooter didn't exist, right? Like, you know, there was no, I mean, like there was Team Fortress 2, but that was not, they were called class-based shooters back then, right? And Team Fortress 2 was really the only thing that was like that. And there were some other games that were kind of playing around with that idea, but the whole like Overwatch, Paladins, Marvel Rivals, you know, now everything's kind of a hero shooter. It's a multiplayer game. So it's just like the world has changed a lot. Also, players just in general, seems like the new generation skews more towards like not competitive games as much. They seem to like
cooperative experiences.
Or just like, you know, my nephew's visiting right now, and he was like, oh my gosh, you have Power Wash Simulator on your
Yeah,
Xbox?
let's go.
And he sat for like an hour, like power washing a van last night. And I'm like, that's just like a job.
Power
like,
Wash Simulators,
but it's just like a
slaps,
job.
so
It's a
great.
job. No, it's a good game. I'm not talking shit on Power Wash Simulator. I actually know some of the guys that work there. It's a good game, but it's like it's a different thing that necessarily appeals. Like when I was
It's a
his
different
age,
experience, yeah.
I would be like, I'm trying to get better at Street Fighter so I can beat my friends,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, oh, I want to power wash this van, right? It's just a different generational thing. So anyway, I think that there's like a lot that's changed about the world, particularly in gaming. It's a very fast moving field.
Yeah.
And I could, like I said, keep talking about this forever, but it's a very interesting question. Hopefully that was somewhat insightful or interesting to you.
Yeah. When's the next Wandering Market dropping? I believe the next collection is next update, correct?
It is next update, yes.
So we'll talk about that next Wednesday.
Yep. Can we hear the stats on how Wukong is doing? I can take a look. Let me see.
Yeah,
I think I have them somewhere.
I think now you'll see it, but I'm pretty sure I saw that he was sitting pretty close to like smack dab 50% win rate.
I would believe it.
Yeah.
What's this? I can't remember what the channel is called.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll take a look for a second if you need a minute.
Can Mulan's training arc be moved to an active item slot to make room for more consumables? We've talked about Mulan a lot on the show.
Yeah.
I know her +1 is something that the design team is kind of cooking up on a little bit just in the background, because we know there's been a lot of feedback around the training arc flag in particular, and it being it taking up real estate in the consumable slot, and there's lots of other things that the consumable slot can be used for that kind of put a little bit of strain on that slot. So I know the team is definitely thinking about Mulan and maybe shifting her +1s in a different direction, but I don't have any exact timelines on when that's going to happen, but it's definitely being talked about internally.
Yeah, I can't find the message right now. I'm sorry. So
no worries.
No firm update on some. Off-screen damage numbers haven't worked since the Mercury patch on PS5. Is this a known issue? I did not know that. We can take a look at that. Yep.
Could you let us know what you personally think Smite 2 needs the most?
What I personally think Smite 2 needs the most.
I feel like the list is long.
It's long. If you ask me the question on a given day,
it could be different.
I'm going to give you a different answer, right? Right now, I think that I'm going to give a very generic what it needs the most. I think it needs to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Right. I think that there's a lot more that we can do on the new player experience standpoint. I think that is a very clear path to continuing to improve the fate of the game. Right. Like again, we're talking about kind of the industry as a whole. If you compare Smite 2 to any multiplayer game that has come out in the past few years, like we're still doing incredibly well for how most service games have done recently. But we know that we can do a lot better because we just hadn't put a lot of thought into new player experience until recently. Yeah. And we've already seen tremendous improvements. The data was so good for the most recent day of data. Some of our data is like 14 days delayed.
Yeah.
And the data that just came in for 14 days ago's cohort was so good that we think that it may be a broken data point.
It
was just like, it was insane. Like something crazy. Like, I'm not going to give the exact number, but like one of the metrics we look at is like how many people play 20 games, at least 20 games in their first 14 days. Yeah. Because we have found that that's a good sign of like a committed player who's going to keep playing for a long time and not somebody who's just like, they played a little bit and then they fall off. Right. And it was like, there were more people that played, there were almost, basically more people that played 20 games than not of the cohort that started playing that day.
Yeah.
Which is very rare, right? Because free-to-play games in particular, like most of the time, every free-to-play game that we've ever made or we have, competitive intelligence on, most people play a game, maybe two, and then they're either in or they're not, right? But the changes we've been making seem like they have been having a very noticeable impact even beyond this one day where maybe the data was too good to be true. So I think that like there's a lot more that we can do on that front. And then I think there's more that we can do to make the core game more fun as well. I saw a good comment right before this that I don't want to bring up because I have not talked to design about it. And I don't want them to think that we're committed to doing this.
Cool.
But I think there's a lot of things we can do to keep making the game better.
Yeah.
Any Smite merch on the horizon? I need more tiny gods. You can make your own Smite merch if you want to. We aren't currently pursuing any merch on our side just because it's like it's one of those things that takes more time than you would think to manage merch, even if you're working with a merch partner. And we just like want to be focused on making the game better right now. But we will give you or anybody else watching the show a free license to make Smite merch and sell Smite merch up until you've made,
I forget the dollar amount.
Some amount of money off of it, but a pretty decent amount of money off of it. So if you wanted to, do a run of, figures based on
3D printed, figures that from Smite,
cool, go for it. Like we want to support the community doing cool stuff while we're focused on just making the game better. There's like an email address or something you can send,
there's
right?
a form.
There's a form.
Yeah.
I'm going to beam Smite 2 ads into space. Okay.
Back in the early days of Smite 1, a new god could be ideated and created from the ground up for release every 2 weeks. Now in UE5, which should be easier to work in, porting gods and recreating an already existing god takes 2 weeks. Why?
So I think there's a couple things to think about. The first one is if you look back at how gods used to look back then and how complicated their kits were, those got back when we were moving at that pace, the models were not very good. And the kits were the most brain dead simple kits that we could make because we only had 2 weeks to do it, right? And still to be able to do that, we had multiple rotating like god pods that you weren't actually making it in 2 weeks. It was like each one was about, let's say 6 weeks. I think there were 3 god pods at the time, which is still very fast to be able to do that in 6 weeks. Don't get me wrong. But it was like, it wasn't like start to finish, you could make a god in 2 weeks. Similarly, we aren't start to finish making a god in 2 weeks now, right? We're also, at that point in time, the gods were entering into a simpler environment of interacting with other gods because all the other gods had simple kits, right? And frequently issues arise when it's like one edge case meets another edge case. So it's like Morrigan transforms into Sun Wukong. Well, we didn't have Morrigan back then, so that bug wouldn't have existed in the early days of Smite. So it's the more complicated the interweaving systems, the harder it is to, move quickly. That said, I think that like I know we are able to move very, very quickly in Unreal 5, much faster than we were able to move in Unreal 3, because I've been through the process internally. And, with our team size, putting out a new god every 2 weeks is crazy fast, right? Like, I've talked to some people in the industry. They're like, yeah, we want to put out a new character every 6 months. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like it's hard, right? I think that it is a very fast pace, even though we do have the benefit of working off some, pre-existing stuff. We were running it like a god every 2 months from scratch previously. And that was like, that was hard. And we missed at least a god a year for several years. So.
What was the delay with quickplay Joust / Conquest? So we were trying really hard to get quickplay Joust into Open Beta 14, but we ended up playtesting quickplay Joust a few days before Branch, and just the bot interaction just wasn't up to stuff to where we wanted it to be, specifically for ending the game.
we've made huge strides with our bots,
Yeah.
right? Somebody, I think Fine Okay was saying like you should put these bots into my
I know.
like
Into
ranked
my
matches
platform.
and they would be better or something. But like it's clearly a joke. But
Medusa bot, OP.
seriously, we did something by the way to bots to where they're winning even more again.
Oh
So
my
we
goodness.
need to crank it back maybe a little bit. But it's the more complex the things that bots need to juggle, the harder it is for them to juggle them, right? And one of the things that is really hard for them to figure out is like, when is it time to try and end the game? So I need to group up in the lane and push down, and even if I'm low health, not try and back and heal up because the whole team needs to be there to finish the game. And trying to get your bots that were coordinated enough to end the game when you were ready to end the game was a challenge for the Joust quick play. So it was like, I'm just going to throw numbers out. These might not be the exact time rates, but like, let's say at 12 minutes, you're ready to end the game and you're doing all the things to end the game and you just can't get your bots to work with you to do it. So you're stuck in the game for another 4 or 5 minutes being like kind of bored because you can't end. We want to make sure that like you actually can end at the point where you should be able to end, or the enemy bots can end when it's appropriate for them to end if you're getting beat. So that was the biggest issue that we saw. There was also some other room for improvements that, we were like, it's better to hold it for 2 weeks.
If all the focus is on having the more popular gods release first, is there a concern about having a more stale feel near the end of Smite 1 god ports?
Yeah, so it's definitely not only popular gods. I think that we are trying to listen to the community in terms of like who they want the most. That isn't necessarily the most popular gods. Like Giannis. Giannis is not the most popular god in Smite. Not by a long shot. There are a lot of mages who are more popular than Giannis. But Giannis adds an interesting gameplay dimension. So we prioritize bringing Giannis over as the next, mid lane character. I think that like Kali is not the most popular assassin, but Kali brings a unique gameplay style, and we were able to adapt her to be even more interesting in Smite 2 and do pretty well. I think that like it's really a balancing act of popularity plus community interest, because we look at all the polls and everything about like what you all say you want, who you want to see sooner, and then what fits into our dev calendar in terms of what departments is this god hard for. Do we need to slot in an easier god here so that we have more time to do a harder god in the next slot, that kind of thing. Any plans for tournaments after July Smite Prime? Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning. We'll have more to announce soon.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on a lot of these specific individual god questions because that's the rabbit hole that will take the rest of the show.
We don't want to go one by one for each
what about
god.
this guy? What about this guy? Do you think Link should talk in the upcoming Zelda movie?
Ooh. That's a good question.
I think it would be a hard movie to make if he didn't. He does need to be left-handed, though.
Yes.
That is a requirement. So if he's not left-handed, not seeing the movie. I also, the Mario movie, much as I love Chris Pratt, it's
just wasn't for you.
Can we? This is. Can we cast an Italian person or an Italian American instead? Or Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet has been the voice for forever. Fine, right? But it's not like you're seeing the person on the screen. Like I don't know. It bothers me. Whatever. If he says more than here, and yeah, then he ain't Link. That's true.
What makes a god hard to make? Several different things, and every department will probably tell you something different.
Yeah, it's always something different. Yeah, I was gonna try and elaborate more, but like, yeah, it's in general, just like making a video game work at all is kind of a miracle.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's really hard to make video games, especially multiplayer video games. Like single player games are like on the scale of easy to hard, right? It's like single player 2D video games can be really easy to make, right? If your dream is to make video games, start with a single player 2D video game. Don't try and make like something insane because you will actually be able to make progress and you'll be able to see the things that you're doing have an impact and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm learning, right? Then like if you move to 3D, it's a lot harder. First person is actually, in my opinion, easier to make than like third person, because if you're third person, then you have to worry about like controlling your camera and the animating thing in front of you. And then if you're trying to make a 3D video game that is also multiplayer, like co-op is easier than competitive multiplayer because you can cheat some things on the AI side of who you're facing. So, but if you're trying to like, I need to know exactly when the person on the other side is doing a certain thing and it needs to be balanced because it's competitive. It's just like, it's just a very, it's very challenging to do. How do you draw the line at myth/deity? Because I feel Robin Hood would fit the Arthurian pantheon. I would say we have these kinds of conversations a lot internally about what feels Smitey and where the line can evolve over time. You know, at one point in time, before we did King Arthur and Merlin, I was like, I don't know if that really fits in Smite. But then I've come to be like, oh yeah, for sure, right? That works.
They belong here.
And some people were more on the fence about Cthulhu, right? But I think that Cthulhu has been a great addition to the game. He's been one of the most popular characters, and he fits because he's that kind of like otherworldly power, right?
I remember some conversation about even like Baba Yaga. Like, she's fairly recent too, in the grand scheme of things.
Sure. Or like Mulan, or even Aladdin. Like people were like, some people were on the fence about Aladdin. You know, like some of the more crazy ones we've talked about internally have been like, you know, is Dracula going too far, right? Like American folklore, like Paul
Bunyan a couple shows ago,
So I think that like there's a lot of things that could be fun. I think we just need to make sure that like there's a balance, and if we just did, you know, like this is just a hypothetical run of gods, right? And if we released like, okay, Robin Hood, Dracula, Superman, modern mythology,
there you go,
right? He's like a god. I don't think that would feel
Steamboat Willie,
sure, Like I don't think that would Johnny Appleseed, right? Like it's cool, right? It's a lot of big names, and big names usually do well for us, but the risk is if you don't then throw in like I don't know who's a mythological figure that Saturn, right? If you don't throw in like some more classically mythological names, then I think you lose some of the feel of like Smite is all of these mythologies coming together and not just like pop culture mythology, if that makes sense. So Superman and Smite 2 confirmed. No, I haven't seen the movie yet. Is it good? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it
I heard
yet.
it was good.
I'll probably do that this weekend.
If we don't get Bigfoot, we riot. I mean, you know, like that's, you know, Homelander. There was one guy who used to work here who really wanted Godzilla to be a character in Smite. There's a lot of reasons why I don't think we'd ever do like a licensed god like that. But, you know, I think that we've had all those kind of conversations, and they're fun conversations to have. It's just finding the right god for the right moment.
Are there any plans to close the vision gap between action cam and normal cam? I thought vision indicators for gods you'd have vision of normally could be good. I'm worried action cam is going to cause a split of two groups of Smite players.
Yeah, I know that we are going to be testing some more changes to action cam in the next update. I don't have the full details on those right now. I think Pond was talking about those right before this meeting. So we're going to continue tweaking it. Like, we think it's been a positive so far based on all the data that we can tell, that it helps players just understand what they're supposed to be doing a little bit better and get a little more, just have a better first experience with Smite, which is so important in free to play. There's this great, like, this is mobile free to play, which is different than PC free to play. But Google put out a report like a long time ago based on their app store that was like, I want to say it was the first 90 seconds of playing a game was the greatest indicator of whether or not someone would keep playing the game. And if you didn't catch their attention in the first 90 seconds, they were gone, right? You have a little bit longer on PC console than you do on mobile probably, but it's not like you have hours to get somebody's attention. You have like, you know, maybe your first 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. If you don't immediately feel like, oh, this is cool, I get it, right? You're probably going to move on, especially for free games. If you've already given me $20 or $30 to play the game, maybe you'll play a couple more rounds. You'll get closer at least to your Steam refund point, you know. But it's not like you have a lot of time to convince somebody that the game's good. And the action cam has helped a lot for that, we think, based on the data we have right now. So we're going to keep tweaking it. I think that feedback of, you know, indicators for when people are nearby you, it's good feedback, you know, something we could consider for the future for sure.
Is there any god that has had their popularity significantly change from Smite 1 to Smite 2?
Popularity significantly changed. I want to say this. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, so this is just off the top of my head. Obviously, I want to say Jingwei was much more popular in Smite 1 than in Smite 2. I don't know why she's less popular in Smite 2, but I think she was much more popular in Smite 1. Kali is more popular in Smite 2. I think the changes have made her more interesting.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw a stat.
Yumo's just popular in both games.
Yeah,
both games is not popular character. Sorry, what were you going to say? I had somebody just said Yumo, and I was like, yeah,
I forgot.
Not
I forgot. I think Kali was the one that I was going to bring up.
Okay. Let's see.
Any chances of getting a colorblind mode for Kernonos' seasons? My friend can't differentiate between them, sadly, and the general colorblind mode of the game doesn't affect it. I think that's fair feedback. I'm going to take a note and see if there's anything that we can do on that front.
Some gods with non-standard, so with attack chains basically, do not match their damage and swing time. Khepri is one of them. I know Pon was looking for gods that maybe were having issues, that because he kind of has to go through one by one to look at them. And it's not every god that has an attack chain, but knowing that you see that with Khepri, if you can make a note real quick, we'll take a look at Khepri's attack chain.
Why are most ported gods men? So Smite 1, the majority of the cast was were male characters.
Yeah.
We're doing our best to kind of make sure that we can, you know, sprinkle in some diversity and variety where we can. But, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Smite 1 had more male characters than women characters. So, the majority of ported gods will be male characters.
And we also, we in our initial roster, we wanted, like, for when we were first went into like 24/7, we actually like had a big priority to try and have a lot of like female characters to have a more balanced roster at that point in time. So some of the more popular female characters came earlier. So the roster was compared to the Smite 1 roster imbalanced more towards female characters. So this is a little bit of the catch up, I would say. I think also we just kind of didn't realize that we had stacked so many male gods back to back. Normally we try and mix it up a little bit to make sure that, you know, there's a little bit more diversity. But it's not, you know, we don't dislike women or anything. It's just we have our gods that we're trying to fit in the schedule that are, community demand for them, how long it takes to do them, and what the existing gods from Smite 1 are that we're working with. With Newt being the last god to come over for Smite 1, her design and kit seemed like it was tailored to Smite 2. Is that true, or was she always intended for Smite 1? Yeah, she was always, from a design perspective, was designed for Smite 1. The Smite 1 design team and the Smite 2 design team were completely separate at that point in time. And she was a project of the Smite 1 design team and didn't really consult with the Smite 2 design team. The introduction of like side lane teleporters to Smite 1 and Smite 2 were like independently evolved. Yeah. Like neither team knew the other team was really working on it because we were pretty separate at that point in time. So it wasn't like she was designed for Smite 2. Yeah. The model was created in a way that it would be easier to bring over to Smite 2 because that was around the time that we were starting the whole idea of cross-gen. So there was a little bit of like artistic work that was done with the knowledge of like eventually she'll be in Smite 2, but it wasn't she wasn't designed to be like a early Smite 2 god by any means.
Are we planning on adding any other ranked modes to the game? Would love for ranked duel to return. So we did add duel to the competitive section in the new queue screen.
And there is a leaderboard for it.
There is a leaderboard. Duel still has picks and bans. So for all intents and purposes, duel is pretty much ranked right now. I think the only thing that's missing is like the actual like
bronze,
ladder. Like I'm not sure if we're thinking about potentially changing it, but I mean, it's something that we could definitely think about for the future for sure. But it's got a leaderboard, it's got picks and bans, it's in the competitive section. We know that duel is inherently a competitive mode, so.
Yep. Killgoon cheating on Alani. Hey.
Do you want to talk about let's just quick Alani check. I've got pink slush today. I haven't had it in a while.
I have a C4 Performance Energy Jolly Rancher Green Apple. I did not realize what time it was, so we were about a minute and a half from this show starting, and I stood up from my desk saying, "Oh God, it's almost time for the show!" And I ran into the break room to grab something to drink, and that
was the first thing that caught your eye.
The first thing that caught my eye, because it was positioned like this. I don't know if you can really see, but it's like it just looks like a stack of the Jolly Ranchers. Yeah. And I was like, I love Jolly Ranchers. This is going to be great. And then I didn't really think more than about it for 30 seconds because I didn't have that time. I sat back down at this desk and I picked it up and I started reading this can, and it's like, what does it say? Explosive energy you can feel. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to feel that.
I feel like that's like pre-workout or something.
Yeah, man. And then it's got carnosine and beta power in it. Like that doesn't sound like a thing I should be ingesting, but it's what I have.
Yeah, you're gonna be wired the rest of the day. All that personal work that you have to do, it's gonna get knocked out.
It's tested and certified for professional and collegiate athletes. I'm not one of those things. I did play a collegiate sport, but not like at a club level, So, but like, yeah, this is not what I need in my life as a 40-year-old man. But it's okay. So I like green apple flavored things. Obviously, this is why I got it. But the aftertaste is like. It doesn't build a lot of faith in C4 as a product for me. Alani, amazing. Yeah. Love a good Red Bull. I think Monster's solid.
Yeah.
This is not in that same echelon. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Was it college F1? No. I played for my collegiate rugby team, which, in America is like a club level sport. You just can kind of walk on and, it was fun. I wasn't very good, but I did enjoy it.
I max out my market coins pretty quickly in between market releases and would like a way to spend them without needing to spend other currencies. Maybe using a large amount to unlock gods? ?
So based on all the numbers that we have seen very, very, very few people are getting to the point where they're capping their coins, and most people are actually experiencing the other problem where they need more coins because they're, if you buy a couple travelers, and you buy the collection, or this new Emberlord saga that we have, you can feel squeezed on coins to try and like complete the things. So I think that's more of the concern that we are, that we're really focused on right now. I think that being able to spend Bartering Market coins to unlock gods is theoretically fine, but it's a little bit like, theoretically you should just be getting tokens to unlock gods. Yeah. So like, it's a little bit weird to make you spend your coins on that. Somebody mentioned 10K coins for an account booster. Maybe something like that. Yeah. I think that we could talk about it. But yeah, it is a relatively small percentage of the player population that are running into this issue. But it's good to know that there are some people out there that are facing this. All the rugby enjoyers in chat are excited that I mentioned rugby. Atlanta had a Major League Rugby team, which it doesn't anymore. But I used to go to the games. It was fun. Yeah, still love the sport. Did Beach Beeb Afro save Smite 2? I appreciate how you worded the question. It did very well. It actually did not do as well as the Sobek Landshark. Landshark was the best performing Prism collection so far. I think Afro might have been second. I think it was relatively close. And seems like so far Vulcan's doing pretty well. Yep. So if you're interested, check out the Emberlord saga. We think it's a pretty cool skin. We think it's a reasonable deal when you consider the amount of stuff that's in there and the different forms, and and
the prisms and the recall skins. Yeah.
And Smite 1, a tier 5 skin's $100, and this is obviously not quite a tier 5, but it's also much more inexpensive and gives you a lot of options there. Are there any other Emberlord saga style skins coming soon? We do have one other one in development right now. We didn't want to make too many of these because there's a chance that everybody just hates them and they don't make any money, and they do cost us quite a lot to produce, right? Like, so there is one other one that's in development. It'll be a couple months away still before you see it. And then depending on how these two go, we may spin up another one.
For assault purposes, can Hecate Aspect not trigger on like stance switches? I know Hecate Aspect in non-conquest modes has been a big topic of discussion. That's another one of those things that's been on design's backlog for a little bit, just to kind of revisit, just because we know we've gotten a lot of feedback about it feeling frustrating. I think there are some issues with it as well. I don't think it's working on leaps right now. And I definitely understand the feedback on things like stance switches for sure.
Yeah. There was a question about the Vulcan. Are the Vulcan skin prisms only for the last tier of the skin or for all of them? Right now, they are only for the last tier of the skin. We did get that feedback on this Saga skin, though. So maybe the next Saga skin, we might do prisms for each form, because we aren't going to go back at this point and add prisms to this one. But I definitely hear that feedback of like, I like the first form the best. Not my favorite, but some people like the first form the best. And it's like, I would like to have different colors of that one as well. So I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think every one of the forms has its own like unique aesthetic that I would want to use it for. I really dig like the classic like medieval knight of the first form, and of course the final form is just super sick if you just want to be a flamed out demon. It's so dope.
Yeah, I think they're all really cool. They have their like, there's a different time to use each one.
Yeah,
How's data looking for Action Cam 2.0? It's looking pretty good. I think that like we've had the best early retention that we've ever had in Smite 2. It seems like it's performing well. We are going to be having some more updates to Action Cam in the next patch to continue iterating on it. But so far, it seems like it's been an improvement. We're not 100% set that this is perfect yet by any means, but the initial experiment seems like it's paying off. There's a question I want to answer, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to avoid it. Are the old vault skins going to be returning? We are not opposed to bringing over any of the old limited skins from Smite 1, but I can't say for sure if the vault skins are on the list right now.
I'm pretty sure was Guan Unicorn a vault skin from Smite 1? Maybe. I don't remember exactly, but I want to say yes.
Yes. Chat says yes. Blake says yes. Do you think changing farm in solo will be enough to alter the solo lane meta towards, not exclusively to, warriors? Or do you think more will need to be done? I think that it's the most obvious first place to start.
Yeah.
I'll say that, like, I've been doing this long enough to know that, like, you can think you understand everything about how a small change will impact balance, and you probably don't.
Yeah.
Right? We feel pretty confidently that the main issue is that mages can just turbo farm, and warriors can't, and that leads to a lot of the solo lane imbalance, and that warriors aren't able to be effective when they should be being effective because of the amount of farm. That said, it may not be everything, but that's the leading suspect right now. We need to probably try that first and then see if there's other changes that need to be made. We need some more of the more popular, newer Smite gods to come over. Can we expect any from the past 3 years soon? I'll say potentially. Yeah. I'm not going to comment exactly on the upcoming god roster beyond what we already said, but there are, as of the way the list is organized right now through the end of the year, right? Like there's a wide mix of characters. Yeah. So there might be some newer ones, there might be some older ones. We just need to do a lot of the groundwork of older gods first, and some of the newer gods just are a bigger like design or programming burden because they do a lot of stuff, or a bigger art burden because they have like, I have 8 forms. It's like, well, that's a lot.
Shout out Clumsy.
Yeah. So we just need to like balance things in our workload and make sure that we're not like killing the team. People are praying for the whale. I don't know about the whale. We'll see. You wake up with $1 million and have to spend it in 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
What
I hate this question.
You hate this question?
Because the obvious thing is to just invest it,
yeah,
right?
Just buy stocks, right? Invest in.
But that's not a fun answer,
yeah. But is VT, Vanguard's Total Market Index?
Mm-hmm,
the best place to put your money. If you are a beginning investor, don't get smart with it. Just put your money into the Vanguard's Total Stock Market Index Fund. You'll just up and to the right, just put, like, seriously, if you're a kid and you're watching this now, open up a stock market account, put like $5 a week into it, or however much you can afford, and just, it will go up tremendously over the course of your life. Just like Total Stock Market Index Fund, boom. Vanguard is like the way to go in my opinion, but I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah, this is not financial advice.
Yeah. If I had to buy something, what would I buy? It's a good question.
Yeah.
For $1 million, $1 million doesn't go as far as
I'd probably just buy a really nice house, but that could eat up.
Yeah, probably
pretty
more
much
than
all of it.
Yeah. I don't know if $1 million could still like afford a house like on a lake or a river around here, but I would probably do that. Yeah. Like there's a lot of really nice lakes and rivers in Georgia that aren't too far from the studio, where it's like, I could live on like, whether it's like the Chattahoochee or like Lake Lanier or, whatever. There's a lot of like smaller lakes around too. And I love water, it'd be good. way down yonder. Yeah.
Someone says Titan Talk is expanding in content. Yeah, it's Friday. We like to take a couple fun questions, you know.
Yeah, Friday's casual Friday for sure, you know. Don't go to Lake Lanier, it's cursed. Yeah, okay. There's a lot. There are other lakes that are not cursed.
Yeah.
Any chance you could fix the HUD bug? What is the HUD bug? I need more than just HUD bug.
And I've seen a couple people specifically calling out Emberlord Vulcan announcer pack and voice pack about it being a little bit hard to understand. I'm taking a note, and then I'm going to chat with Kellen about it.
When are we getting a weekly quest? We were actually talking about that this morning. Probably something that we'll be adding before too long. I think that we would like more of a weekly quest cycle. It'll probably be pretty simple. It'll probably be like, play a certain number of games a week, get some watering market coins, but we would like to add that sooner than later.
Yep. I've seen a couple people asking about just closed captions and subtitles. I know that was mentioned in a Titan Talk a while ago. I don't think anything has been locked in on that front, but it's something that's on our list to potentially consider in the future.
Yeah. At the start of every match, my HUD is gone and I have to manually reset. You should try and repair your files. Because there might be something like corrupt. I have not heard missing HUD every game for anybody.
Yeah, that's wild. I haven't heard or seen that.
Yeah. Can we address your Wall-E as best Pixar movie blasphemy?
Oh man, here we go.
We got 3 minutes left. I'm not going to get into it, but I think it has a strong argument.
It's
for being
got a
the
case.
Best Pixar
I don't
movie.
know. Like, I feel like Incredibles is.
Okay, no. Incredibles is nowhere near.
You don't like
it's
Incredibles?
Not even in the top, no, it's not even the top tier.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Blasphemy.
It's good, but it's not like there's so many great ones.
Yeah, and of course you've got like Toy Story, which is like classic. Like that has to be in top 5 for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take another silly one. It's Friday. We're having fun.
See, someone in chat says Incredibles bodies, Wally. Come on.
It's fine. Y'all can have your opinions. Take one pro athlete and put them on the rugby pitch. Who are you stealing from what sport? And what position are you putting them in? I would love to just see like a crazy running back from the NFL. Like Marshawn Lynch in his prime, I feel like would just like destroy people. But I think there's a lot of good opportunities for cross sport collaboration. One of the interesting things about America is that like we play so many sports here that a lot of like our best athletes play sports that are popular in primarily America. So it's like a lot of our best athletes go into like football or baseball or basketball or hockey, and it's like you don't see them go into soccer or rugby or games that are cricket that's very popular in some parts of the world. And it's like it would be interesting if with the population size of America, if we were playing the same sports as everybody else, how we
what
would
it
compete,
look like,
right? Because like we suck at soccer. Let's be honest. Like we're gonna have the World Cup games here in Atlanta. And we're not gonna do great. Like let's be real about it. Like we're good at women's soccer, right? But we're not good at like men's soccer. And it's like if we had all the guys that are in the NFL playing soccer, or pick your sport, right? LeBron James playing soccer, right? Maybe he's a little too tall for soccer, but whatever, right? Like, I just feel like the level of athletes could probably raise the level of the national team if we were more focused. Football, okay, whatever.
Get it right, Killgoon.
Football. Anyway, I'm done about my sports rants. We can answer some actual Smite questions.
Let's see. Thoughts on adding a mini beacon type objective in solo lane to replace the gold camp to favor bruiser characters over mages? Yeah, that's something that we're thinking about. Not that objective in particular, but just like objective
Objectives.
play overall for Conquest.
Yeah, I think that like there's a lot that we can. I made a statement on Titan Talk the other day that I think was a little misconstrued, where I was like, oh guys, it's not that bad or something, right? And people were like Killgoon thinks the conquest is perfect. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I think that like there's a lot that we can do to improve the flow of the current map by addressing things like the objectives, without necessarily needing to plop in a whole new map to address some of these issues. And I think that I think that with this focus on some of the objective stuff that we've been talking about, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to make the game better.
Sweet. Well, we're at 2 p.m., so it's time for one more question.
I've been getting silly with it today, so I got to pick an actual Smite question for my final question here. Let me intern. Thank you. That's a good question. Let's see. There was one question that was back here a little bit that I thought was kind of interesting. If you could put an experimental active item in the game, what would it be? And this is my, like, I know it's bad, but I think it would be interesting. Historically, we have avoided items that affect your teammates too much because it's very easy to troll.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, people don't like being messed with, especially in like a third person perspective. Like sometimes things that feel good from like a top down MOBA don't translate into feeling good in third person. But I would love an active item that I'm gonna give two different ideas, but basically like I play a lot of like support or like solo, and I think that having the ability to like make my teammates temporarily like phase out or something, right? It's like I can help them dodge a skill shot by like, oh, you're about to Poseidon Kraken, like the whole team disapparates for a second in an AO, but just like a short period of time. So it's like a team dodge or something would be interesting. Or else like a team like AoE or single target like shallow grave effect where from Dota, where it's like you can't die, but you can go down to like one hit point kind of thing. I think that like those would be team self banish is stuff to me it's kind of that, but it's not really what I'm talking about. I mean more of just like a momentary like 1 second team phase out, team comes back, not affecting enemies in the area. I think that those are interesting. Yeah. So anyway,
cool. All right, and I need to choose one before we close out the show because I know you've got a meeting.
Yes, I do. Apparently, I saw people walking through the meeting right now.
Let's see. I got to choose one quick. Dun, 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 dun.
What's your hot take about Smite? That's your question.
It's one of the best games on the market right now.
That's a hot take.
It is so good. Like, I feel like it's just so good. Just
it's
play
so fun.
it,
Just play Smite. Yeah, like I very rarely am I having as much fun playing a game as I do when I'm playing a good game of Smite. So, W take.
Sweet. Well, chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us on this Friday. Thanks for letting us have a little bit of fun on the show and take some non-Smite related questions. We love our casual Friday here.
Friday. I'm wearing a shirt with drinks on it. We got to be a little casual.
Sweet. We will be back on Monday. Next week is going to be a really big week for Titan Talk, so set your alarms for Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. Lots of open beta 15 news on the balance front. We're going to be showing off Hu Yi. We've got a hotfix that should be going live at some point this afternoon, so keep an eye out on our social media channels for when those notes go live. But until then, hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next week. Peace.